Hello and welcome to Zeropoint Energy, where there's 0 what we talk about and just as much energy. I'm Shaun.
And I'm Jorge. He's an apostate and I'm a Catholic.
Close enough. Today we're talking about one of the very few musicals I actually enjoy. Jesus Christ Superstar.
And it's one that I kind of like and mostly hate.
We'll get to that in a while.
Yeah.
And if you want to know why this is one of the few that I like, I have no fucking idea. I like this one. I like Rocky Horror. I like Little Shop of Horrors.
Didn't you also say you liked
Phantom?
No, besides Phantom. Something Queen of the Desert.
Priscilla, Queen of the Desert.
There we go.
Love that one. That was a good one. I mean, Tu Wong Fu is kind of sort of a musical, but not quite a musical. It's more of a movie with musical numbers.
I don't remember that one.
Tu Wong Fu, Thanks for Everything. With John Leguizamo, Footloose. What the fuck's his name?
Patrick Swayze. Oh, I remember that one. Yeah.
That one, like I said, that one's more of just a movie that happens to have musical numbers in it than a musical.
We gotta watch that one.
We could. It's actually, especially in today's climate of how drag queens are corrupting the world, we should see a movie that's actually a very positive image about drag queens. Hence, Priscilla, Queen of the Desert, and Tu Wong Fu.
And then we can tell you exactly how they're corrupting. I'm kidding.
I mean, we could.
I was kidding.
You look at the news and they say, drag queens are corrupting the children and because they're rapists and they're pedophiles and, it's men going into women's bathrooms and hurting children. And then you see in the news that they're arresting so many men for this who are priests and police officers and teachers.
So,
none of them are drag queens.
Okay. Okay. Where were we? Right, movie. The movie that we're doing this week is called
Jesus Christ Superstar.
Okay, let's get down to it, because...
Let's get down to business. Disney will strike us.
Wrong musical, buddy.
I know, but okay, it's another musical I like. Although, if anyone says they don't like Mulan, they're evil. You should stop talking to them. You don't need that kind of negative energy in your life.
Just so you know, he also liked the live-action one, the bastard.
I did not. I hated that one so much I actually did not watch it.
I know.
I actually did not watch any of the Disney live-action adaptations. Because I know they all suck.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
All right. I thought you were going to finish saying something.
Oh, no. I was just saying that all the live-action Disney adaptations of the great animated movies suck, so I've not watched any of them.
Okay, so...
Although I do somewhat look forward to Little Mermaid.
I don't know. They fucked up just about everything else except for Maleficent. I'm kind of not excited for Little Mermaid. And not because of controversy, just stop remaking them, really.
Well, yeah, I'm not excited about it in the sense of it looks like it will be good. I'm more of this actually looks like one I might actually watch.
Okay.
Like, I'm going to go into it assuming it's going to be an absolute shit show. And hopefully be pleasantly surprised. Like I was with both Jurassic World movies and Top Gun Maverick. I assumed they're going to be shitty cash grabs. They were, but they were actually decent movies too.
I don't know. Jurassic World was good. Jurassic World, what was the second one? Fuck. Dominion? No, that was the third one.
Fuck it. I can't even remember the sub name on that one.
Okay, second one was eh.
Yeah, the cloning people side story was weird.
Alright, so we've got Jesus Christ Superstar. Play was made originally by Andrew Lloyd Webber for music, lyrics by Tim Rice. and it was released in the 70s. The movie itself was released in... When the hell was the movie
I
released?
want to say 77. I'm not positive on that one, though.
Let's see. 1980, 72. I'm going to have to go for Jesus Christ Superstar movie.
Yeah. Oh, well, there's a quick link to what you were looking at before. Just there. So.
There we go. 1973.
73. Okay, so 2 years after it debuted on Broadway? Because it came out the play came out in 71.
No. To be completely and utterly honest, I don't hate it really, I just dislike it immensely.
Which I don't get why you dislike it, though.
I
mean, okay, is it biblically accurate? No.
Eh.
Is it a good interpretation? Because everything about the Bible is an interpretation. Is this a good interpretation? Yes. Is it the best? No. Is it one that, if you're a true believer or a follower, this is something you should watch because it will give you more insight? No. This is movies for me. This is a close enough to accurate story of Jesus and his apostles and the Last Supper for people like me who don't like religion, who know Christianity and don't care to know more about it. It's entertainment wrapped up in a Bible story.
Yeah, I mean, I can't fault it for what it is. I really can't. It's good. It's just not my thing, I guess. I mean, I actually did like parts of it. There were other parts where I'm just like,
I will admit, for comparing to the stage production, seeing the movie, there are some bits that just seem way too slow. Like Mary's song, I forget the actual name of the song, but like her first like solo song where she's talking about she doesn't know if she can love him.
Oh, like, by the way, that's Mary Magdalene, not Virgin Mary. Continue.
Yeah, the acting of it, the pacing of the way the camera goes through the scene, it's slow, it's boring. It's a good song, and when you just listen to the music, it's wonderful. Like to help kind of prepare for the podcast, like me and Jorge watched this last week for Easter, but we didn't get a chance to record, so we're actually recording now off of notes, which is rare for us. It's one of the few times we half-assedly have a script. It's bullet point notes, but close enough.
I mean, okay.
Like I said, to re-prepare myself, I just listened to the entire soundtrack the other day, and yeah, hearing her song just to hear it is so much better than the visual impact you get from this movie. This movie makes it seem like a boring song.
I don't know. Personally, I actually like the acting in this. It was very... It's Broadway. It's very dramatic, but at the same time, it's very
like I said,
human.
I think what makes it seem boring is the cinematography of that particular song. The way the camera flows through the scene. Like, hearing it, just listening to the soundtrack, because the soundtrack album is actually the recording from the movie.
Oh, I thought it was
so listening
original.
to that, I wasn't putting the visuals in my head from the movie. It was putting the visuals in my head from the stage show. So you don't get this long, drawn-out camera, wide angle of her walking through the cave complex. It's a tighter shots. That's what this needed. It didn't need the, oh, look, we're in Jerusalem. Because this movie was also shot on location in Jerusalem.
Which I actually
with the help of the Israeli military.
Wait, what?
With the help and blessing of the Israeli military and government.
Okay, then. All right, let's get down to it. I mean, okay, for what it is, it's good. I didn't like that they basically took away Jesus' divinity. Basically, it was like he was completely human, which, as a Catholic, I believe he was completely human and completely divine, but that's neither here nor there. Basically, they didn't have miracles. They just had people who came to him. They implied them.
Yeah, this is supposed to be after he's performed most of his miracles. This is literally the days leading up to the Last Supper. The days leading up to the resurrection and that.
No, I know. It's just... Okay, let me put it this way. I like it for portraying a human Jesus. I don't like it for not also portraying the divine.
True. But like I can understand why they don't portray the divine, because that would be hard. Like in a stage play, like the movie is meant to be close to the stage play, just for better cinematography.
Right.
So in a stage play, how do you really show people he's walking on water? You just kind of say he's doing it. And then when you do it in a movie, now you have to build the prop so he can walk across the swimming pool with the clear platforms under it. This was the 70s.
Camera angles, bro. They've done it with camera angles before.
I know, but that implying a much better budget. Like, I want to say the bulk of the budget was the getting the permits from the Israeli government to actually go to the different monuments and shoot on location. And I'm sure a giant chunk of it was spent on renting 5 Challenger tanks from the Israeli military. Because, yeah, there's a scene where tanks chase Judas through the desert, and those are actual Israeli military tanks driven by soldiers chasing him across the sand dune.
That's another thing. They portrayed Judas as a good friend who was basically saying, "You don't have to give up your life. What the hell are you doing? This is foolish." And I could understand that. That is actually pretty believable in terms of...
It was him being the voice of reason of, you're letting your ego get to you. Like, you're just a man. You started getting these people and started talking about God and this talk about your holiness and your miracles and all of that. And now it's getting so big, you should stop before we get in trouble for this, before they target you, before they hunt you down. Like, why are you letting it get so big? Why are you letting the crowd sway you? And that's Judas's opening into the movie, into the movie musical as a whole. And as you progress through the musical, it's Judas getting more and more irritated with Jesus isn't doing anything to slow down the momentum of his followers. He's not saying anything against them. This is going to be a horrible comparison, but it's dumbly one that's accurate only because of recent history. Judas is Mike Pence. Jesus is Donald Trump.
God damn you. You had to fucking go there.
Hold on. But only for the portrayal in this movie.
I know.
Jesus doesn't actually say his followers should follow him. He doesn't tell them explicitly that they should be loud and boisterous and voice themselves and hoist him up as if he's a god. But he doesn't tell them not to. And that's kind of... And then where I see Judas as Mike Pence is he's constantly reminding him of, hey, they're doing some weird shit and they're doing it in your name. Maybe tone that down a little. I mean, keep doing what the fuck you're doing because you're awesome. I'm your friend. But is it okay that they're doing the weird stuff and saying you told them to? Maybe you should tell them not to do the weird stuff. No? Okay, cool. I'm going to go tell these dudes that this was all your fault, and that's on you. And that is literally Mike Pence on January 7th after the 6th insurrection.
Okay, I don't disagree, but you had to fucking go there, seriously? Like, all of the evangelicals and shit are going to be like, they said it! They fucking said it!
That's the advantage of the fact that we have very few followers.
Bro, still,
unlike Jesus.
Okay.
Or
like,
Trump.
You're partly right, but there's also something in there, because in the beginning, like you said, with Judas's monologue, he actually said he wanted a revolution, but at the same time, they should know their place, because we're being occupied right now. What the fuck is wrong with you? Don't stir up shit.
Yeah, he's literally trying to say, like, don't draw so much attention to us. Worry more about the people, not about yourself. Remember who you are and where you're from, not where you are and what you're doing.
Not just that, though. I mean, he's very present-minded, not future-minded, which is a thing that usually happens in cities and the country. In the country, They want things now. In the cities, they're more long visioned, I guess you could say.
Yeah, and Jesus is very much planning for the future,
Yeah.
and like he's already just assumed that they're going to hunt him down and he's going to die. He is living this last week or so of his life as if it actually is his last week or so of life. Because he's just accepted the fact that, yeah, everything I'm doing is going to get me hurt and in trouble. I'm going to do it anyways, and I'm going to go full force into it.
Now, going into the rest of the movie, we got the disciples asking Jesus what's happening. He tells them you won't understand, and then he asks himself, or it seems like, at least in terms of body language, he's asking himself, should he tell them?
Well, there's that, but he also points out on the line that you'll miss him when he's gone. They won't have a leadership when he leaves. Before that, when they're asking him, what's the buzz? Tell me what's happening. Like, when are we going to march to Jerusalem? When are we going to start the revolution? And he asked them, why are you so obsessed with fighting? Why do you want this fight to be now? I won't be here to lead you forever. I don't think I should lead you to do this, but I'm not going to tell you not to. I just want you to tell me why you want to. And they never answer him. They immediately just go back into, hey, so what's the news? What's the plan? Just what do you want us to do?
No.
That's a whole, like, all the apostles basically, they keep pushing aside his questions and concerns and immediately go to, yeah, but tell us what you want to do. Well, but why do you guys want to start this fight? Why do you guys want to start this revolution? Why are you making me seem so big and powerful? Oh, well, because you are. So what do you want us to do? What's your plan? Well, didn't you guys say you wanted to start a fight? Oh, so we're fighting. Cool. Let's do that. They're twisting him, asking them why to become, well, because you said so. Even though he never said so.
In terms of biblical accuracy, that's also fairly accurate in terms of the people that followed him, not the disciples, not necessarily some of the apostles, but
yeah.
The point is they wanted a savior to fight. They wanted revolution, like their ancestors before. Basically, they wanted another Messiah to come and then lead them out of darkness. In this case, the occupation of Rome, or the occupation of Jerusalem by Rome.
Yeah. And
so
that's another part of Judas's opening monologue. One of his first lines is, there started a fire. They found their new Messiah. These people are going to start this war. They're doing it no matter what. They're raising you up as their scapegoat.
Their figurehead.
Their savior, their figurehead. It's, Jesus told us to do this, so we're going to do this. The problem is Jesus wasn't saying no. That is pretty much the only reason why, again, specifically for recent history, you can compare Jesus in this movie to Donald Trump during his presidency. Because there was a whole lot of, he didn't specifically say you should, but he never said you shouldn't.
True. Now, with them wanting a warrior king, basically, they wanted a revolution. He wasn't going to give them that. Biblically speaking, he was a sacrifice.
Yes.
He was the Christ, the Holocaust.
And that's what most of Jesus' monologues in this movies are about. It's his personal songs when he's singing. It's him accepting, like, I'm going to die. These people are going to get me killed. I will die for them because the ideal is just. The cause is just. But why does it have to be me?
Then immediately after that, we have Jesus with Mary Magdalene. They portray her as a prostitute. Not biblically or historically accurate, but it's a pop culture thing that's been popping up every single decade.
Yeah. Well, I would say she's more... because it's one of those fine line things. I would say she's more concubine than prostitutes, because they do show the prostitutes when they go to the temple, the way they act versus the way Mary and the women with Mary, who are supposed to be the prostitutes that follow the apostles around, they're totally different people. I would say the Mary and her group of women are more concubines. They're comfort companions. Like, they're helping them bathe. They're helping them relax so they can get a good night's sleep. They're making sure that they eat. They're doing womanly duties that seem to be everything but having sex with these men. Where it's very implied heavily when you get to the temple scene and they show the prostitutes. Those women are having sex with people in exchange for goods and services and things like that. They're not just helping out. They're not being some form of domestic partner.
Okay, I understand that, except for Judas's song during that entire scene implies that I have no objection to her work.
Yeah, which why I think that's why she's a concubine. She's still a paid escort in a way. But that's why I said, I have no objection to her work. But why do you let her get so close to you? Why are you letting her in on when you're talking to the other apostles? Why is she always there? Why does she get the front row seat to everything? Why does she know so much? Like, are you letting the fact that she comforts you sway your feelings towards her? Like, she's an escort. You're paying her. She's not your lover. That's how Judas is seeing it. Judas is just seeing her as she's doing her job. Now, even from some more accurate biblical text, it is implied that Jesus and Mary did have an actual relationship. And even if you add in the vagatories of mistranslations and stuff that make her seem more like a prostitute with the more biblically accurate text, I could see Judas's point here. But, well, is she a whore? Is she someone you're paying? Is she just an escort? Is she using our resources and our protection to travel? Or is she closer? Is she someone you care about? And if you care about her, you do know what she did as a job, right?
Wait, so you're saying she was a prostitute at some point and then became a concubine, or?
I'm saying there's a very fine line between the two. It's kind of like the very, very fine line between an escort, a call girl, and a hooker.
Okay, so just so you know, I'm seeing synonyms. I'm not seeing different levels of...
Okay, so an escort or a call girl, those are paid companions. Now, what happens between two consenting adults after you've paid for your hour, 2 hours of time is what happens between two consenting adults. You've given money for time, not for service. Hooker, you're paying her for sex. You're paying for services that just happens to also have a time/monetary value. You're not paying a hooker by the hour. You're paying her by what she does for you. You're paying an escort by the hour.
And a call girl.
And the call girl, you're paying her by the hour. And the call girl is more at your beck and call. You're paying specifically for her. That would be Mary. You pay specifically for Mary to come to you. She's at your beck and call because you're paying for her time to follow you, to comfort you, to talk with you, to listen to you. She's not an advisor. She's just the ear for you to rant at.
She's a confidant.
Yes.
Okay.
And that's the difference between Mary's group of women that you see in the red robes versus the hookers you see in the brightly colored robes at the temple. Mary's group are confidants, concubines. They're followers, but they're getting something in return. They're getting fed. They're getting protection. They're getting to travel and all of that. They're getting the benefit of the group, and the only thing they have to give in return is, well, you got us the food, we'll prepare the meals. And, we'll make sure the water's hot for baths and stuff. And, if you want, we can help you scrub your back and things like that. Like, they're doing all these extra steps, but they're not outright just having sex.
I don't know. And I'm being serious. I've never heard of not of the different definitions. I've heard of those, but I meant I've never heard of the difference between a prostitute and then a confidant doing womanly duties. Womanly because of gender roles, people, okay? Don't have a cow.
Japan.
If you mention the geisha.
No, not the geisha. They have, it's especially popular with having foreigners to do work there. There are businessmen who will hire a white woman just to be arm candy. There's no implicit want or need of sex. It's, I want this pretty lady by me. But then because I'm paying for her time, she's expected to do certain things. Like she's expected to show me respect, to act as if she's my girlfriend. You're paying for the girlfriend experience. But she's an employee. And their role paying is it's everything but sex. If sex happens, it happens. That's not part of the agreement, though. That just becomes another, what happens between consenting adults happens between consenting adults. It's all the rest of what happens is part of what you're paying for. You're paying for her to pour a drink for you while you're at the club, to ride in the cab with you or ride in the limo with you so that, he's not lonely. He has a beautiful woman on his side. And, he's so manly. He got a foreigner. Like, that's an actual thing. They hire foreigners to come do that. Like, a lot of people who go there to travel and go to school abroad can earn a decent amount of money just basically being a bar girl. And a Japanese bar girl, like, because I don't want people to get confused. If you're thinking when I say bar girl, a Thai or Singaporean or Filipino bar girl, totally different thing than a Japanese bar girl. Japanese bar girls are just a pretty girl who pours shots for you and sits at your booth and makes it look like you can attract pretty people.
Like a hostess club.
In the Philippines and Taiwan and all that, those are hookers. 90% of the time, those are trans hookers.
Nothing wrong with that.
Nothing wrong with it, but I'm just saying,
go for it.
There's a difference in bar girl depending on what Asian country you're in. I'd say the Japanese bar girl are more akin to the American shot girls, where you are, or the table service girls. You're paying them to come sit at your table and pour you drinks.
Okay,
I think it's easier. I'm saying that's more like what Mary and her group are. They're paid to just be women around the men to make them feel comfortable, make them feel better about themselves.
I don't know if I agree with your interpretation, but it's your interpretation.
Yeah.
Now, then moving from there, Judas says to Jesus that he's wasting his time with Mary. He doesn't object to her, but she doesn't fit his image. Again, that kind of implies darker, but I'll take your word for it. Then from there, Jesus says, "Leave her be, you're sinful as is she. Stone her if you have no sin." And then he says, none of them care for him. Like, by caring, I mean, in the way you said, like, making him feel comfortable and stuff. Not caring, like, emotionally. Even though she does in later scenes with the song.
Judas is pointing out that these girls are only here because you give them things. They don't actually care about your message. They don't care for you. It's later, which it's actually almost immediately after this, that we found out that Mary actually does care for Jesus. She's trying to figure out how she can get closer to him, to have a real relationship with him. That's why her main song is, the question is, I don't know how to love him. I don't know how to heal him. Like, her lines, her song is later repeated during the Judas's death song. He says the exact same lines in his repentance for being the direct cause of Jesus' death. I didn't know how to love him. I didn't know how to help him.
Yeah.
So it's, in the context of this movie, that's the one-to-one comparison of Judas is already in the role Mary wants. He's his number one confidant, his best friend, his closest support. Mary wants that. Mary wants to be close to him. Maybe she wants more. And Judas is slowly he's trying to keep her at arm's length, trying to drive that wedge between. And then slowly through the course of the movie, you see that the role reversal, and it's Jesus who's doing it. Jesus is bringing Mary closer. He's pushing Judas farther away until Judas accepts that he can't help Jesus anymore. So he betrays Jesus.
Yeah, I mean, I guess he felt betrayed himself because his friend wasn't listening to him anymore, wasn't actually taking his advice, wasn't listening to, like, I'm trying to help you prolong your life. And he's like, nope, I'm doing what I have to do.
Yeah, pretty much.
Now, in that same scene, we have Mary Magdalene, what's the word in English?
Anointing?
Anointing, there we go, thank you.
Yeah, she's anointing him with myrrh oil.
Yeah, myrrh oil, and like it's fragrant and makes you smell good, and yeah, it's a way of showing affection.
Affection, and specifically using myrrh oil was meant for anointing kings at the time.
Very true.
And myrrh it's also a bit of an antiseptic, so it's technically, that's why you used myrrh oil specifically to bathe kings and anoint them, especially about their face and their feet. It cleaned them, it sanitized them, and helped make sure they didn't get diseases or spread diseases. Which is another thing of, why do Mary and her women know about using myrrh oil to cover men's skin so that they don't get sick, so that they don't spread disease, so they don't. That's why I think there's a line there of, she's not a hooker so much as she is a concubine. She's used to being around powerful men. She's used to making sure they stay in power. Because, this was a time in history when only the powerful bathe. Only the powerful knew what disease was and had any inkling of the connection between being dirty and being sickly.
Now, one of those things as well, myrrh is apparently a type of drug in terms of making you feel kind of euphoric. Not a lot, but it definitely gives you a little high.
Which is why mixed with hot water to make it an oil and put it on the skin, especially the face and about the shoulders and chest. You breathe in the vapors, makes you very relaxed, which is why she always bathes him at night after they've eaten so he can go to sleep. It's literally getting him high and relaxed so that he can get a good night's rest to escape the stress of the day of all these people demanding. Mary sees it the same way as Judas does, that all these people are pulling on Jesus. They're getting his attention. They're demanding of him. It's, Jesus, do this for me. Jesus, do this for me. Jesus, I need you. I did this because you helped me, so you have to help me again. Judas is just trying to tell Jesus he needs to suck it up and move on and try to just change his ways a little bit so he can relax. Stop letting these people demand so much of him. And Mary's more of just helping him forget the anxiety of being pulled by giving him drugs so he can sleep. She's literally a human Ambien.
Now, just so you know, we do not condone that in any way. If you have a friend who's a drug dealer who gives you stuff for free, no.
But if you are on prescription antidepressants because you are seeking proper medical and mental health, then definitely use them. You have prescribed them for a reason. They do help. Take your meds.
There's a difference between a drug dealer and a pharmacist. A small difference, but still.
Usually about $9.95.
Okay. Also, self-medication, not exactly a good thing. it's a coping behavior, but
Yeah.
Now from there we have everybody saying Hosanna, Hey Sana, welcoming Jesus into what the hell was it supposed to be anyways? It was like kind of like a town, but not exactly. It was just a bunch of people in a group.
It's a town square. It's right before they get to the temple. I forget where the temple is supposed to be located.
Right.
It's Callisus. It's his town, his dominion. Because right before that, it's him and his council. They're having their little song, and they're talking about Jesus is coming, and the crowd is getting too loud. And that as you get interspersed throughout the chorus of Hosanna, 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 ho. Then you get this real deep from the king. He's like, Jesus Christ is dangerous. Jesus Christ, superstar, he's dangerous. I mean, it's an interesting juxtaposition, but it shows how they felt. The local government really did see his crowd as rabble rousers. They're dangerous, and he's their leader because they're upsetting the order. And if you upset the order, you upset the Romans. If you upset the Romans, it's not good for anyone.
Now they're praising him, telling him they believe, and he should tell them that they are saved, and he does a little bit, but not in song. It's just like kind of nodding at people and such. Now they tell him he should tell them to prevent hate.
Oh, yes, the king and his council, they're telling him that he needs to quiet his crowd. He needs to stop them from being so loud, so boisterous. Like, he's not specifically telling Jesus, you have to stop with your message, or you have to stop your crowd from gathering. He's just telling them, stop drawing so much attention. He's of the same mind at this point of Judas. If you keep drawing the attention of the Romans are going to hurt you, and it's not just going to be you. We will be affected by this. Your actions don't affect just you. They affect others. You're going to get this whole kingdom in trouble.
And then Rome will come down even harder and take even more power, because at the time Rome was very oppressive. They were fairly live and let live, but at the same time they're like, don't forget your place.
Yeah. So, like, if they weren't making such a scene, if they weren't having such large, loud public gatherings, the Romans wouldn't have cared. They were, in a way, the Romans were the ideal occupation force. It's, you do you, but here's the rules.
Yeah.
As long as you follow our loose set of rules, very loose set of rules, you can do whatever the hell you want. But punishment for breaking the rules is we kill you and everyone around you.
Now, with that being said, they were still also saying, the crowd, I mean, that they wanted a military force. They wanted to fight the Romans. They wanted to take Jerusalem back in this scene. And I think not as much, but...
Yeah, and that's the big thing that Jesus was against, but it's also what the king was against. That's what the king was telling Jesus. You need to make them be quiet about that. You need to stop. They need to stop yelling that they want to take down the Romans. That's going to affect all of us. Like, they're going to think I support this because I let them march through my town.
Now, with that, shortly afterward, Peter, we finally find out which of them is Peter, says to Jesus, we should go to war. And Jesus tells him, no one understands. No one understands. Because this entire time he has been preaching that there's more to this, that you don't need to follow this path of war of trying to return the way things were in terms of the kingdom of Israel.
And what Peter's whole song, his chorus is basically, hey Jesus, did you see me? I waved to you. Like, he's just trying to keep getting them to focus on, look at all the people around you. Look how much they adore you. Like, you should, we got the crowd. Like, what are you telling the crowd to do? We're a crowd. Did you see us? Did you see how much we support you? You see what we do for you? We're willing to do whatever you say. What do you want us to do? Should we fight the Romans? Let's go fight the Romans. That sounds like a great idea. Jesus, do you love us? I love you. We love you. You should love us. If you love us, we'll fight the Romans. And Jesus just keeps repeating that you don't understand. I won't always be here. Like, he's trying to set them up to be able to lead themselves without his influence. And at this point, he's not saying he's going to die. He's just saying he won't be there. Because he probably thinks the Romans will jail him, not kill him at this point.
They just won't accept the truth. And by the truth, I don't mean religiously speaking. They won't accept, like you said, that he won't be here. They won't accept that they need to lead themselves. They just want to use the fervor for their own gains, which would be fighting, war, and such. And Jesus is like, no, there's other shit that's going to happen. Listen to what I'm telling you. Because he, even in the other, scenes, he doesn't speak directly. Jesus never really spoke directly, even biblically speaking. And he was trying to signal them, to tell them, I won't be here. Biblically speaking, he spoke about sacrifice, he spoke about the lamb and such. This Jesus spoke about how he wasn't comfortable with everything that was happening. He was growing out of hand, but at the same time, he knew, I'm going to go down.
Yeah, like this Jesus, he also does speak, and not really vagatories, but a roundabout way. Like, he's telling you what's going to happen, but he's not telling you what's going to happen. Like, you can infer his meaning based on what he's saying, but that meaning doesn't become clear until the event he's talking about happens. So, inferring meaning from what he's saying, you can interpret it multiple ways. The problem is all of his followers are interpreting it as, oh, he's not going to be here forever. I mean, he's not going to be down in the dirt with us. He's going to become our king. He's going to rise up. We should help him get there. No. And he's trying to tell them that, no, I'm just a man. I'm always going to be like you. I won't be here forever. I'll get in trouble the same way you get in trouble.
Now, coming from a religious perspective, here's what I heard. While alive, you will suffer, but to conquer death, you need to die. I will die.
Yes. Especially with the you need to die part. I want to say that's actually Peter's line in the song. All you need to do is die.
I thought that was a little after this. They say, will you die for us?
There's another point to it that's after the temple, the lepers are singing that.
Gotcha.
Because they're just talking about all the different things he can do, and then at some point it just starts switching to, they get more and more demanding to, like, most of them are saying, well, would you die for us? Like, can you, like, my eyes don't work when you take my sight. My stomach hurts. Can you give me food? I am poor. Will you give me gold? I am dying. Would you die for me?
Okay, now, part of that, in terms of biblical, because I have to say this, okay?
Yeah.
In terms of biblical, the way the miracles and shit worked, at least how it was explained to me as a Catholic, is that the idea behind the miracles, the signs, was to show I am the Son of God, to announce that, yes, I am special, quote unquote. Come to me, listen to me. I have authority.
Yeah.
With all his acts and stuff. Now, that being said, Jesus, it wasn't just, I am Nurse Nightingale, I will walk and you will be healed. The whole idea is there's a transfer of permission. Because if you believe in me, you will be healed. So, in order to be healed, you needed to believe. It had to be based in faith. If you just said, okay, this guy can supposedly cure leprosy. I'm here. Come over here.
Yeah.
No.
And I think that's what the movie's supposed to say, because, again, the movie keeps hinting at miracles he's already performed versus what they want him to perform. So they talk about, oh, he did that trick with the lepers. So they're referring to when he did heal the lepers the first time, those were some of his earliest followers. They they believed in him. They believed he could heal him. They believed in the word of God. They believed he was the Son of God. So they were healed. Now he's farther down the road, further into the future, and other sickly people just coming up to him, and it's that false belief that, hey, Jesus, I believe in you, heal me. And that's not, even Jesus saying, that's not how that works. You have to truly believe in me. You have to believe in my cause. You have to understand that I am righteous and I will accept your pain only if you accept that I can remove it. And none of that group of lepers gets healed.
And the reason for that is, like you said, they had no faith.
Yeah, they didn't truly believe in him, but they see it as, he's a false Messiah. Because that starts the inklings of the, it comes a bit later, when the Romans start indicting him, and Pontius Pilate?
Pontius Pilate, yep.
Yeah. When he's asking them, like, but he is your king. What do you do with him? He's not our king. Like, they're immediately turned against him once there's consequences to his action. Because he didn't heal me back then. So, no, he's not my king. He has no power. So, fuck him.
Not just that, though, because even some of the crowd were the people who... Okay, maybe it's just because they had to reuse extras, but at the same time, they had people who were there who were like, yes, he's my king, and then like, nope, never heard of him.
Yeah, they do show in the crowd that there's... Yeah, I mean, they were using extras, so they have them kind of singing both lines at the same time, but they're using that trick of camera angles, or these are the true believers. And like, he is our king, our one true king, he's not my king.
Yep.
And it's they change that with some of these wide shots. So you see the big crowd, so you're seeing, oh, there are the true believers who look so worried right now, and they see that, oh, this is his prediction. Like, he's going to get hurt. He's going to die. We need to help him, but we also need to let this happen because that's the belief, that's the faith. What happens to him will affect us. But we have to believe that what happens will be right. But then you see the new followers, the less believers, the people who are just following, who are getting caught up in the further of the group. And it's like, no, he's not our king. He's done nothing for us. Fucking kill him.
Now, with that being said, though, he... Okay, shit, I forgot what I was going to say.
That happens, man. Well, I was just talking about how, like, the new believers, they haven't been there from the beginning. They haven't heard all of his little sermons. They haven't heard all of his word. They haven't seen all he can do. They've only seen the recent stuff where he's tired, he's depressed, he's anxious. He knows the end is coming.
Oh, right. Okay, so with that, these people are also those who wanted war. They wanted him to be a warrior, not just his closest followers. And then at the same time, they abandon him at the first sign of trouble. Like, that's not how war works. If you're going to go to war, arm up, gird your loins and shit, and get down.
They're the new voices, the voices who haven't been there from the beginning, who are like, yes, we should fight. We're going to take down the Romans if we all work together. Let's go. We have Jesus behind us, and he is awesome. And then as soon as the Romans actually start enforcing consequences to their actions, oh, Jesus? Who the fuck is he? Never heard of him. Oh, that guy? That guy you're going to war with? No. We're against him. You should kill him. Fucking anti-Roman bastard. That's that flip of a dime. It's those fair weather followers.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Those bandwagoners.
Now, a little before this, we skipped a couple scenes, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Specifically, Judas with the tanks, and then he's like, nope, that I don't want this shit either. And he tells the, what are they called? The Sanhedrin, the government. He tells them, this can't happen, and I can't follow him anymore, so let's try to stop this before the hammer comes down from the Romans. And they offer him 20 silver coins, which is a lot of money, in order to betray him.
Yes, but they give him coins He thinks to give them information so they can, like, imprison him, jail him, so they can handle him and not turn him over to the Romans. I think that's why later on with Judas' death scene, it's why they show Judas committing suicide. It's the regret. He did not expect Jesus to be turned over to the Romans. He expected the local government to deal with it. They're the ones who paid him. They're the ones he talked to. He was just as surprised as everyone else when the Romans showed up.
Okay, now, this kind of reminds me of the Gospel of Judas. Just a little religious tidbit here, where Judas is portrayed as the hero. Specifically, he had to betray Jesus in order to have the prophecy come true, and he was told this by Jesus. He was prepared and did so because he was basically doing the greatest labor of all humanity, to betray the one true God.
I mean, they do lead into that a little bit right before Judas goes to speak with the king. Whereas Jesus is basically telling him, I know what you're thinking, and you're right. Though your actions are just, my actions are just. We should both do what we think is just.
That's not how I got that scene at all. To me, that scene was specifically, I know you're going to betray me. Speak plainly, you know it's going to be me. And then Jesus is telling him, if you don't believe in what I'm doing, then get out of here. You know that you know that I have to do what I have to do. Do what you must. Now, it's similar to your interpretation,
Yeah.
but not exactly. My interpretation is more along the lines of like, you know what? Fuck you, get out of here.
Yeah, that's probably a closer to the right context for how it's acted out. But I feel like if you add in the Gospel of Judas, that's more of how it would play out. It's more of a conversation between them, not a fight between them. Whereas the movie shows it as a fight between them. It's the Jesus is like, I know you're wrong. You're gonna betray me. You're gonna turn me in. Fuck it, do it. I don't care anymore. I'm gonna keep down my path, and if you don't agree with it, then you just have to do what you're going to do. And that's kind of how that song plays out too. It really is so much of, I know you're going to betray me. I know you're going to do this thing. It's Jesus not condemning, but pointing out that this is definitely going to happen. I know you're doing it. You've already done it. Just fucking leave and let me be. I know what's going to happen.
Now, with that being said, Judas also tells him that without you, our ideals die.
And Jesus reinforces that with like, yes, I won't be here to lead you. You can't do this without me.
Now, with that, Jesus goes away from him, and it's basically having the Last Supper in the Garden of Gethsemane. From there,
Which I would like to say, for the movie purposes, they actually make the portrait of the Last Supper make sense. Because they're sitting under the olive trees in the shade. And why are they all sitting on one side of the table or the blanket? Because they're having a picnic sitting on the ground. It's because they're all sitting on the shade side and not in the sun. Like, they made it make sense. It's a dumb thing, but they made the painting make sense because that is like one of the stupidest things I keep hearing. It's like, well, why did they all sit on one side of the table? Like, it's artistic license. The dude who painted that, several hundred years after Jesus died, he just decided, hey, we should be able to see all of their faces. The only way to do that is to have them all be on one side of the table.
okay, so then we have the last scene where, in Gethsemane, you can tell that Jesus is basically saying, if this cup can be taken from me, then do so. He's basically praying and telling God, can this not happen? I mean,
Yeah, like, this is the point where you see Jesus, like, truly questioning, like this is an entire song of, I get that somebody has to die. I get that you need a martyr. You need a symbol. But why me? If I'm your son, why? Why would you have me die for this? Why can't someone else die? Why can't somebody else have these punishments? Why can't somebody else lead them? Why does it have to be me? I accept that it will be me, but can you just tell me why?
Tell me why ain't nothing but a heartache. Tell me why ain't nothing but a... Okay, I'm done. Alright, now, religiously speaking, obviously, Son of God, chosen for that purpose, brought into Earth for that purpose, we'll leave it at that. Specifically speaking, though, this shows the human side of Jesus. Like, this portrayal, even just religiously speaking or any other, which is an important aspect, because, okay, specifically Catholic speaking, he's 100% Jesus, 100% human, 100% God. And very, very few portrayals actually show that, yeah, he was unsure. He was, like, he knew this was coming, but at the same time, he's like, yeah, I really don't want to do this. Like anybody would.
Yeah, and I think that also shows, the human side of Jesus, showing him as more of a person than a divine figure, especially since these stories are a little bit more New Testament, not Old Testament, with the vengeful God.
Right.
So New Testament God isn't quite as vengeful, but man is. So the scene at the temple where Jesus gets angry and starts flipping tables and kicks everybody out, he's angry. He's a man. He let his emotions get the better of him. He didn't turn the other cheek. He didn't accept something that was wrong and just, well, it will work out in the end because God is good. And he's like, no, fuck these people. This is my temple. This is the temple to my Father. You won't do this here. This is wrong. Get the fuck out.
Honestly, I thought they would do more with the whole whip thing, but they didn't.
Yeah. Again, it's a musical, so they didn't want to go too crazy with it.
Also, they took a lot of liberties. They had freaking automatic guns. They had go-go... Well, I would call them go-go dancers, but they were...
No, they had go-go dancers. Yeah.
Okay, fine. They were go-go dancers. They had something else modern besides the guns. What was that? It was like...
They had cash registers.
They had cash registers. I think somebody had like an 8-track thing.
Yeah, somebody had a record player. Somebody had
That's it.
8-track tapes that they were selling. Modern jewelry, like watches and stuff like that. But then on one table, the weapons dealer had a bunch of regular knives, swords. But then he had a fucking M240.
That's it.
Yeah, get a Mod Deuce up there. That's what you need. Which, again, shows how much of an influence the U.S. military had in the early days of the founding of Israel. Because, well, that's a very American weapon that the Israeli military provided for this movie shoot, because that was a live firearm. It wasn't loaded, but there was a live firearm. That was an Israeli military machine gun put on the table. And then, like, the Roman guards have AKs and Uzis.
AKs and Uzis. Yeah.
I mean, the Uzi was developed in the 60s, so it makes sense that a movie in the early 70s that filmed with heavy cooperation by the Israeli military, they've got a couple Uzis on set.
Now, after that, they start bringing him forward to go to his death. We have him on the cross. He says, "My God, why have you forsaken me? Eloi, Eloi, lama sabachthani."
Oh, I just thought it was a scene that we just kind of glossed over. We didn't get to it.
Go for it.
The scene where he meets, not Pilate, Herod.
Herod. Oh, God, Herod's scene. Jesus Christ.
You are the Christ, the great Jesus Christ. Won't you turn this water into wine?
Okay. Like, that was amazingly, stupidly, funnily awesome. That was probably one of my favorite scenes in the movie.
It is. It also one of my favorite lines. Because he challenges them to do all the miracles that they've said he's done up to this point. To turn water to wine, split these loaves of bread for me, give me 10 fish for this one. It's literally all the feeding the masses, the water and the wine. He even challenges them like, well, step into my swimming pool, walk on the water, come to me. You can do it. You are the Christ, the great Jesus Christ. Won't you walk on water for me?
And it has all that sing-songy.
I love that sing-songy.
That I absolutely, utterly hate it and love it all at the same time. I don't know why. I just do.
I love the actor who portrays Herod. Because you look at that guy. This is a very white man who's overweight, curly red hair, body hair. This guy just exemplifies like, yeah, if somebody's indulging in all the known vices, it's that dude.
Yeah, and of course we know why they chose him. He has red hair. He has no soul.
Exactly. You can't blaspheme against God if you don't have a soul to condemn.
Just kidding. I love you, my redheaded brothers and sisters.
Mostly the sisters. They're pretty.
I can't say no, but yes.
I'd never say no. Only yes.
Okay, his number is... I'm kidding. All right, we get to the ending. We get to Mary and the other dudes basically crying and...
It's them crying, but it's also their rejection of Jesus. It's again, the Romans are... like they're trying to all go their separate ways. They're at this crossroads, and then the Roman soldiers catch up to them. And it's their rejection. Hey, I saw you. You're that guy who's traveling with Jesus. Jesus, never met the guy. No idea who he is. And it's all the apostles and even Mary. They know he's going to die, but anybody who's closely associated with him is going to probably die too. So they all have to reject him to save themselves.
Okay, specifically in that scene though, Peter denies him 3 times. Mary didn't, to be fair.
Didn't. Mary is off to the side in that scene. Like, she makes herself scared to some of the Romans come in.
Yeah.
Probably because the Romans also had an issue with the prostitution. Unless it was the hookers. They didn't like the concubines so much. Basically, if you can't fuck it, why are you paying it?
Okay, specifically, we're going to have to research that because, seriously, I really, really doubt it, but fine.
It's one of those weird gray areas you gotta read a lot of dumb, poorly written history books for. Which is probably not true. It's just somebody threw it in a book somewhere, and I read a lot of fucking books.
I've already told you, it's not realistic. She was actually an upstanding member of the community. I looked it up.
Yeah. And?
She wasn't a prostitute or a comfort lady or whatever the hell you call her. Concubine, whatever.
I'm going to say, like, we've had lots of upstanding concubines in the world. Marilyn Monroe was a wonderful person.
Oh, I thought you were going to go with Stormy Daniels, since you love Trump so much.
No. Got to go with the other Republican that basically fucked a porn star.
Moving on. I haven't said that in a while now that I think about it.
You barely said it during this one because this is one of the few times where I'm making good points that agree with your points, just differently worded.
Meh.
We are both weirdly well educated on biblical studies for vastly different reasons. Jorge, because he was heavily religious in his early life, and me, because I'm very anti-religious.
So stay tuned next time. We're going to be watching The Pope's Exorcist, and we're going to be going over that shit.
But at least I can say I don't come at it from a point of total ignorance. I took time to actually read different things about biblical studies, so I'm not just one of those people who's anti-religious and then I have nothing to back it up with. I can quote scripture at people, probably not accurately, but most people who can quote scripture aren't accurate either because they don't speak ancient Greek.
Unfortunately.
And neither do I. So it's always going to be an interpretation of an interpretation of an interpretation.
I mean, overall, the movie was good. I don't really like the musical. It it changed my mind a little bit in terms of liking it. I do like it a little more now. I don't hate it.
Yay! Woohoo! Jorge was very against doing this movie at first.
And he's very against doing musicals at all.
I said pretty few that I've listed.
Like I said before, we saw one of the ones I hate that he likes, so now he owes me 20 more.
Why do I owe you 20?
Oh, you're right. You know what? This is biblical. 7 times 7. You owe me 49.
Why?
Because biblical shit.
Hey, we did a Spanish movie.
We haven't done that one yet.
Yes, we did. What the fuck with that movie?
We watched it. We haven't done an episode on it yet.
We did an episode on, what the fuck, the teddy bears.
That doesn't count.
Unicorn
I
Wars.
hated that movie.
It was in Spanish.
It was Castilian. It doesn't count.
Yeah, Spanish.
Castilian.
Remember, that shit Mexicans speak is a bastardization of their actual language.
Actually, we speak it better than they do.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not talking
It's
about
kinda
the
like how-
dialectical...
It's kind of like how Americans speak English better than the British.
Technically.
Technically. It's just because you bastardize your language doesn't mean we're wrong.
Yeah. Although, honestly, in terms of Quebecois French, I actually like Quebecois French more than I like French.
But the Quebecois are... Like, if you're going to like a dialect of French, can you at least like Cajun Creole?
Why?
Because you get that mon chon.
Alright, I think
You get that speaking the banjo. Ding 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 ding. Boomhauer. Boomhauer is a mix of Texas, very, very Texas, and the banjo. Or Cajun Creole.
That's what we call redneck, buddy.
Hey, Mike Judge, please don't copyright check me.
Alright, I think we've said everything we're gonna say.
Yes and no. I did have a semi-alternate take on the entire concept of this movie, of the story of Jesus and the Apostles.
Fuck it, say it.
And it's, it can be seen as an allegory for good or not quite proper, but better mental health practices of where somebody who has some kind of mental health diagnosis or issues, where they have that good support network around them of close friends and family who help them, who they can talk to in any time of need and stuff like that. And that's what the apostles and Mary are to Jesus. Jesus has he's speaking to God, who he believes is his father. That's schizophrenia. It's an imaginary friend. It's a person who's in his head who's telling them to do things, and he's having actual conversations with this voice. He has a mental disorder. But he has his close friends and confidants of Judas and the apostles and Mary that he can tell these things to, that he can talk with and get advice from. And for the most part, most of the apostles they never tell him what to do. They listen to him and they egg him on. They go to him, yeah, tell me more. Like, yeah, rant about your day. Just, you tell me. We're not going to tell you what you should do. You tell us what you think you should do. And we'll help you do that. Because we're here to help you, buddy. And you kind of can see that progression, whereas Jesus also has depression and anxiety from everybody's society, just pulling at him from all the different directions, demanding so much of his time, his presence. They want so much from him. They keep feeding from him and taking. He's surrounded by takers and very few givers. If anyone, he only has the one. It's Mary. She's his giver. She's the only one trying to give him comfort, to help him actually relax and kind of just decompress every now and then. And Judas is his best friend, his closest confidant, that strongest pillar of support within his network. And over time, that pillar starts to crumble. the more Jesus isn't listening to the advice Judas is giving him, even though Jesus is asking him for advice, the more Judas is getting frustrated with it and keeps telling him to stop letting them pull you around. You have to take control of your life. You are the ones who makes these decisions, not them. And when it finally comes to a head where Judas can't take it anymore, he can't take being ignored. Like, why do you ask me for advice if you're not going to listen to my advice? You barely even consider what I say. He goes and he turns Jesus in. He tells him, he tells on him to the authorities. He tells him his plans. He reports him to the mental health professionals, the people who will help him whether he wants it or not. And since this whole time Jesus has been warring with the demands of those around him, the demands of society, and the demands of the voice in his head, and they've all basically been telling him that we're going to take it all from you. We want your everything. We want your life. We want your soul. We want everything. Like, Jesus is fighting it until he loses that strongest pillar of support. When he realizes that Judas is leaving him, he's not helping him anymore, he gives up that fight. He gives up that struggle against being pulled into the storm of those around him, that struggle against the ideas of the voice in his head that he knows is wrong, but it's hard to fight against that compelling urge. So he gives up. Jesus dies. Jesus wasn't murdered for the sins of others. He didn't die as a beacon of hope. Jesus committed suicide because the pressure got too much. Since technically the Romans are the ones who came in, let's say they're the authorities who are trying to institutionalize him, he committed suicide by cop. He gave up trying to be better, to get his message across, to spread the word, to be great. He gave up. He let it be a sacrifice. So he fought against the authority instead of succumbing to the authority, instead of accepting that they wanted to help him. He fought them and he died for it. And I know that's dark and sad, and it's probably not the perfect allegory, but it's something to think about.
In case it wasn't clear, he's my best friend, but at the same time, I hate you so fucking much.
Why?
Because that makes it so fucking dark. I mean, okay, in terms of biblical Jesus, voluntary sacrifice in order to take sins from humanity, okay? Yes, a sacrifice. Yes, suicide because he knew it was coming, quote unquote. Yes, I'll give you that. But at the same time, the mental health allegory, yes, hearing a voice in your head that's God, yes, mental health, and yes, it fits. But at the same time, the fact that you say he committed suicide by cop, that is so fucking dark. Like, I can't take this anymore. Fuck you people. It doesn't fit in terms of him saying, why have you forsaken me? Like, no.
Well, it does. Why? Why are people giving up on me? Why are my friends leaving me? Give up. Why has he been forsaken? And it's one of the things that it fits, but it's one of those things that only fits because you kind of need it to fit. So yes, my interpretation is my interpretation. I'm seeing it for what it is because I've seen people who have these great mental health structures, these pillars of strength around them, the close network of friends and family who have to help them come from super dark places and become so much better, to really see the best that's within them so they can become their ideal, that thing that they wanted, that ray of light for others. But without that network, without those people helping, even the ones who just sit and listen while they rant. That person's life could have been different. They might not have become that ray of light. They might not have become better. They might have had a dark ending.
I can't argue with you there.
And like Jorge said, I'm his best friend. He hates me sometimes. I wouldn't say he's Jesus and I'm Judas. There's not really a one-to-one comparison for either one of us. But yeah, we hate each other sometimes, but we also support each other.
Agreed.
He knows if he just needs to rant one day, just because shit gets too much. Sometimes you just need to let it out. He can call me, and if I'm free, I'll just sit and listen. Sometimes I don't even have to say anything. I just let him get it out. And I can do the same to him. He's my support network. I'm his support network. We have others around us who are closer to us. But sometimes that's all you need. Sometimes you just need to talk to somebody. Which is another important thing that you want to kind of highlight for this video. It wasn't meant to be a discussion about mental health, but it kind of is now a discussion on mental health. Of if you think you need help, talk to somebody. You're not ever truly alone. There are people around you who care. Talk to them. Even if it's just to get the words out, to unburden yourself, to relieve yourself of your sins.
If you're religious, you can talk to a priest. If not, then you can talk to a friend. If need be, you can talk to a suicide hotline. There's always somebody there to listen. We're going to be in this specific episode in the download, description link?
Yes.
We're going to be putting the number to the National Suicide Hotline, as well as a couple of different people that you can get in touch with in order to get some help if you need
this is absolutely not a sponsored segment. We have no advertisers. We're not even monetized at this point. But there is a good app and website called BetterHelp. A great resource for helping you find mental health resources near you, or even just online. People to talk to, people who can help you through dark times and just listen to you. So I think it's betterhealth.com or betterhealth.org. We'll look that up and put a link to it. It's a good organization, and they do help people.
Now remember, no man is an island. We're always here to help in terms of people. No one can be alone. We're social animals.
True. Me and Jorge do this together because we like hanging out. But this is also a hobby that helps us vent our frustrations, us ranting about movies and nonsense and joking around and stupid shit. We both have full-time jobs. Life sucks sometimes.
Indeed.
So, yeah, a couple hours of just fun freedom to rant and bullshit about stuff, that helps.
Now, specifically, this episode wasn't so much funny because this episode hits very home. At least for me, it does. Because, I'm Catholic. I'm kind of a lapsed Catholic, but still, my own spirituality leans Christian-wise. You know what I mean?
And the religious aspects don't hit so hard for me, but the mental health aspects do.
Definitely.
And again, I think that's the semi-important thing here is we're seeing this from two different points of views. But we agree. That's the thing. Like, you can have a different point of view. Find that commonality. We both agree about the story here. The story of Jesus, the story of his apostles. It's a good one. It highlights the good of people, but it highlights the bad of people and the power of the crowd. Like, you are not an individual, but you are not the crowd either. Don't let others always dictate your actions. You have agency. Use your voice.
If I can leave this podcast specifically with anything, I do want to leave you with a specific quote from a book I read before. Specifically, it is... Hold on, I'm trying to find it.
It's always the fun stuff of... It shows that this is kind of spur of the moment when we talk about things. Like, we literally, while we're recording this stuff, we Google shit. We're pulling up on our phones. Like I said, this episode was recorded using some notes, but it's literally scribbled sticky notes that we have laying around with little bullet point talking note things just to remind us of certain scenes and that.
Okay, I got it. It's you feel emotion and think, but do not need to be reactive to, with, or of said thoughts and emotion. They arise within, independent of you, but they are not you. And again, you might not be religious, but specifically it ends with, you are the little bit of the divine. You are you. Now, specifically speaking, that is, you think, but not all of your thoughts are specifically under your control. Little things pop up, ideas, things like that, but you are in control of what you want to do, your own specific thoughts that you control. Other thoughts are unconscious things that come up, but they aren't you. If you can, try to distinguish, be present, and separate from them in order to control as much as you can.
And I think that will end this particular episode. And we won't do our usual funny ending and, our kind of calling you guys all assholes and belittling you. And just have a good night and be good to one another.
Remember, you are loved. If you're religious, loved by God. If not, then you're loved by man. Anybody around you. Keep the faith. Bye-bye.